We're here at Chosen People Ministries, and I'm joined by Darrell Bock, Dr. Darrell Bock, I should say. Holds a PhD from the University of Aberdeen, senior research professor of New Testament studies at Dallas Theological Seminary, specializing in biblical theology, cultural engagement, come on, and is the author of more than 50 books. Welcome, Darrell. Wow.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. It's always good to be in the center of the UK. I never know whether I'm saying I'm going back to Europe or I'm going back to the UK. And I let you all sort that out. Okay. All right. But it's good to be here.
And you brought your family with you
I
this time.
did, yes. Yeah, we're excited. So I have a son who lives in Switzerland. So we're here for the weekend and enjoying the time while we're here doing a little bit of ministry.
That's brilliant. We want to talk to you about a really specific topic, the biblical basis for the Jewish hope for the land. We're talking about the land of Israel,
Right.
current modern day Israel. Tell us about that.
Well, the scripture incorporates in a promise to Abraham 3 commitments in Genesis 12, 1-3. The first is the formation of a people out of the seed of Abraham. The second is the promise of people being as a nation in a land and ultimately in peace. And then the third is the promise of blessing to the world through Abraham's seed, which is both a view of Israel as a whole, but particularly the Messiah who comes through Israel. So those 3 promises really are at the core of commitments made to Abraham, commitments made in Jewish language to the patriarchs. And it's a fundamental, actually, theme that runs through the entirety of both the Old and New Testaments, or the Hebrew scriptures in the New Testament, depending on how you want to think about it. And this promise gets repeated. One of the things that I've just said to the audience is that this promise gets repeated not just to Abraham again and again and again, but also to Isaac and to Jacob and to Joseph and to Moses. Okay, you get the drift. And that's important. Now, some people say that this promise is conditional. And in fact, it isn't. It is and it isn't. Let's say it that way. There's a conditional element that deals with the blessings and cursings of Deuteronomy 28-32. But in those same chapters, there's always the theme that if Israel is disobedient, I will regather the nation. And so there's a commitment to this. So the question is the promise conditional? The answer is, well, yes, but ultimately no, because God will regather his people. This is a theme that is repeated by the time we get to the story involving Israel and Babylon in Jeremiah. Because in Jeremiah, we have the prophet told to buy some land, even though Babylon is getting ready to overwhelm Israel, because one day Israel will come back to the land. So the promise is made, God makes a commitment, and God keeps his word to the recipients who receive the original promise. So however the promise expands and including the world, it doesn't preclude the involvement of Israel in commitments God has already made to her.
The thing I always point people to is that even when he makes the covenant, he doesn't trust Abraham enough to do the whole thing walking through.
Right,
he puts Abraham into a deep sleep, and then he walks through the
Exactly
covenant.
right. Yeah.
It's just such a beautiful land contract and a way of doing that.
Exactly right. It's a commitment to the people of Israel. Part of that commitment is a place where she can be safe and live in safety among the nations. And eventually the view is that all the world will be at peace. I tell people this promise is not about Israelite nationalism.
Okay.
It's a commitment to reconciliation.
Brilliant.
Okay, and that commitment to reconciliation is, and this is seen in Isaiah chapter 19, verses 23-25. You have Egypt and Assyria and Israel all gathered together as 3 peoples worshiping the same God on a highway that runs from Egypt to Assyria. It's a beautiful picture. It's better than the M1. The M1 only goes up to from London to Edinburgh. I tell people if I lived in Aberdeen, we never get the M1. Okay, God's going to do the whole thing in the right way.
That is a brilliant analogy. I love that. Thanks for your time, Darrell, and wish you all the best.
Well, thank you.